All right, a very good afternoon, everyone. Okay, let us look at the current numbers of students that are already here in this platform. Another 1 more minutes for our class to start. All right, it's not even 50% of the students number here. So while waiting for more numbers students to join us today, okay, let me just share the slides. Yeah, right. All right, here we go. Okay. Right. So let me just put slideshow. Okay. So everyone can view, yeah? Everyone can view my slide. You all can view my slide, right?
Yes, Miss.
All right. Very good. Okay, so for this chapter, really sorry about last Wednesday class. Really sorry about last Wednesday class, right? I cannot make it. But then I do not want to discuss about when we're going to replace it today, all right? Why? Because we only having 1 hour session today, all right? Since we are having only 1 hour session today, right? Let me just go through the slides first, then we'll see how much time left, or we will discuss about it next Wednesday. All right, I need to check everyone timetable as well. Yeah, different specialism, when is your free time, then I'll be decided. Sorry, then I will decide on the replacement class. Of course, I will inform all of you first before I confirm with the replacement time. Okay, so no worries, yeah, class. All right, so for today's chapter number 2 is about wireless LAN infrastructure devices. Okay, for wireless LAN infrastructure devices, this chapter, yeah, how is it important to your assignment as well as for your test? Of course, for test, yeah, you will be asked about different wireless LAN infrastructure devices. So you need to know what are the wireless LAN infrastructure devices that can be used, that can be provided to, yeah, wireless LAN network. Either you want it to provide in your home environment, SOHO environment, as well as enterprise environment. All right, that one for test. Yeah. And another thing, when it comes to your assignment, of course, you need to evaluate, yeah, evaluate the current infrastructure available in your site, yeah, available in the current site. Is it all the infrastructures required is in place or not? If not, maybe you need to recommend it. And even if you want to recommend what kind of wireless LAN devices to a certain site, yeah, to certain place or venue, you need to understand, is it necessary to recommend it? Yeah, sometimes not every site, yeah, not every place out there needs to have, yeah, so many wireless LAN infrastructure devices. For example, simple example, in APU environment itself, yeah, when you're conducting site survey to APU environment, yeah, in one floor, yeah, in one particular floor, if you go to any level, yeah, not for the whole level, maybe you just choose one block, maybe you go for block B, block D, yeah, and you conduct a site survey, you might surprise, yeah, you may surprise that we have so many access point available in one floor as well as in one block. What's the reason? Yeah, the reason is because of demand, and nature of usage. You understand that Yeah, our students, not only students, even lecturers, yeah, as well as any other guests or I can say like participants that involve in external training. Yeah, when the venue is in APU, yeah, we need to accommodate them with good wireless infrastructure. In other words, they can have a good usage in using their mobile phone, their iPad, their tab, as well as their laptop. All right, no need for them to use it wired. Correct or not? So it depends, right? Okay, so for today's chapter, as I mentioned, right, we will look at different wireless LAN infrastructure devices. So for this case, you can see the list of the devices that we will learn here today. Yeah, so you can see that we have access point, and access point, we have different type of access point. That is autonomous, lightweight, mesh access point, all right? And then I do not want you to think that, oh, is it this is the only access point available out there? Some of you might think this is the brand. Sorry to say, class, this is not brand. This is not brand. I'm not talking about brand. Yeah, I'm talking about, yes, type of access point. All right. So for this type of access point, we have three types: autonomous, lightweight, and mesh. So it's up to you, yeah, class. When you look at different type of access point out there, the one that belongs to D-Link, for example, the one that belongs to Cisco, for example, what else? The one that belongs to, yeah, whatever brand related to access point out there, you need to figure out on your own. Is it the access point that belongs to your home environment, the access point that you have in APU environment or in certain organization? Is it categorized as autonomous, lightweight, or mesh access point? That's why you need to understand the fundamental and basics so that later on you can relate with it. All right? Then followed with wireless LAN router, bridges, repeaters, and also switch. This one is all wireless because that day if I'm not mistaken, there's one student asked me about, is there any wireless switch or not? Yes, we call it as wireless LAN controller. These are the things that we're going to see in today's topic. So basically, you already understand the fundamental, what is access point, what is router, what is bridges, what is repeater, and what is switch. So now we are looking at how it looks like when it comes to wireless environment. And please bear in mind, it's not 100% wireless. It still need to be connected with the backbone, wired backbone. Yeah, wired backbone, right? So of course, as I said just now, you must able to identify and also explain it. Yeah, about this different infrastructure. Again, these are the terms that we will use related to the topics just now. Right, we'll start with the access point first. Okay. For access point, I think everyone aware that why we need to use access point. It's all about wireless capability. And of course, we cannot expect that everyone must be connected to the wired network, right? So this access point is actually involved in a wireless environment where it need to be connected with wired network. And you can see as well how this access point connecting other devices like, can be connected with cables, can be connected with repeaters, bridges, and layer 2 switches. All right. So in a wireless network, if in wired we have this kind of devices, so if you want to have a wireless capability connecting all these devices, you need to have access point in place. All right. Need to have access point. So you don't tell me you want to have a wireless capability, but you do not have access point in place. Right. Some of you might think, Miss, I don't think so. I'm having access point at my home. Yes, you're right. Because the one that you have at your home currently is hybrid. Yeah, I mentioned to you that there is a combination of router, access points, and also switch at the same time. Right? Okay. So what is access point again? Is actually enable, yeah, other devices to have wireless capability. In other words, this access point connecting the other devices so that it can be connected wirelessly. So in other words, other devices, you want to connect it wirelessly, it need to be connected to the access point first, because this access point will bring the connection, will bring the data to the wired medium. So from this access point, it is radio frequency transmission kind of medium, yeah, wireless. Right, we have different type of access point. As I mentioned to you earlier, we have autonomous, lightweight, and mesh. Let us go through one by one. What is autonomous? Okay, autonomous is the fundamental one, the first, the very first, we call it the very first access point available in the market, that being introduced in the market. All right, when the first time, yeah, access point being introduced to the market, into the industry, it's just can be used to support small scale kind of network. That's why we cannot go more on to 15 clients. And normally for this kind of access point, it's just for hotspot reason. And you no need to configure it so much. You no need to configure so much. You just use it. That's why we call this kind of access point is FAT. FAT access point. Wow, got FAT thin also. No, actually it's like this. Why we call this access point autonomous is a FAT access point? Because when you buy it, when you have it, it's already been configured. It's already being set with security settings, yeah, and etc. So if you want to have your own configuration, you want to have control over it, right? Please don't use this kind of access point. All right, the one that can be customized is the lightweight one. All right, so this one is more on you just use it, but if you want to configure it, normally it needs to be configured manually, which is actually being provided by the provider earlier. All right, so for organization, normally they wouldn't go for this kind of access point. And even if you look at the nature, I repeat, if you look at the nature of access point nowadays, we hardly using this type anymore, right? Because it is not actually able to be expandable. Yeah, we can't expand or extend it for more usage. And another thing, we do not want to configure it manually. Am I right? Nowadays, if I ask you to configure your access point, even you want to configure your router, right? Everyone want to use certain interface, am I right? You want to have a customization, something that you don't want to manually configure. You just want to click the checkbox, for example, the combo box and etc. Right? It have to be automated, for example. Okay, so these are the features that had been configured manually, all right, by the provider. And if you want to configure it manually on your own, yes, still you can configure it, but manually means configured in terms of for security functionality, right? Configured in terms of bridge functionality, repeater functionality. And that's the reason why when we talk about bridge and repeater functionality, when we look at that access point, it's actually the features of bridge, the features of repeater is already there. That's why you hardly to have a separate repeater and hardly to have a separate bridge, when you already have access point in place. But if you want to have separately because you want certain device to perform on its own, yes, you may. It's just that, just to tell you that still it having bridge and repeater functionality. No need for me to explain in detail what is bridge, what is repeater. You already learned in intro to network. Okay. And another thing about this kind of autonomous access point, as I said earlier, it can be manually configured. All right, what kind of configuration? Of course, on the security, on the setting, on the channel and etc. All right, okay. This is how the autonomous access points looks like. You can see that it is very plain. Even you don't have a port, for centralized, for control capability. Normally if we have port, with our access point here means that one is more on lightweight. That is another type. This one is for SOHO, right? And then if for enterprise, they have it as well. Yeah, this one is the one that I mentioned here for SOHO. If for enterprise, similar. You can see it's similar features, but of course the security, it have to be advanced. And in terms of configuration, it allowed to have a manual configuration in terms of CLI, command line interface configuration, right? And of course, we have MIMO, multiple in and multiple out, including the earlier capabilities of route, repeater bridges, etc. All right. So this is the terms for enterprise. You can see more antenna available. Yeah. Just now we have only one antenna. This one is more antenna, but still you don't have so much. You don't have ports for centralized purposes or for control purposes. Yeah, because that one will be in the lightweight access point, right? So any question for the meantime? Okay, no, if you got question, please proceed. All right, please type in the meeting chat, right? Or you can just ask, no problem. Okay, continue with the slide. Right, next one, lightweight access point. As I mentioned to you earlier, right? If autonomous is a fact API, where the configuration had been manually configured there, right? If you want to configure, you need to configure it manually. But lightweight, yeah, it's different, right? Different because, yeah, they are used for, you know, together with controller, to go together with switches. So in other words, there will be a port. There will be a port available to this wireless LAN controller and switches capability. All right. Okay, and it's not a standalone. Means, in other words, if you have this kind of access point, need to have a switch, need to have a LAN, wireless LAN controller. All right. And that's the reason why, in terms of intelligence, see, right, much more intelligence in terms of control, to control the other devices. But in terms of configuration, it's less intelligence. So some of you might confuse. What is it this lecturer mentioned? Just now, intelligence. Now said less intelligence. You need to think about the criteria, the perspective that we are discussing about. All right. In terms of configuration, all right, less intelligent, because not as much as what we configured to autonomous. Why? Because it allowed customization. That's why. And of course, the cost is cheaper because not so much involvement, yeah, of the configuration by the provider. Yeah, so it's more on when you have this kind of device, right? You need to configure it on your own if you want it to have you want it to be more intelligent, or you want it to have a better capability. And okay, we can have extensive features for this lightweight. So it depends, depends on the depends on the vendor who provide this access point. Is it, it allowed more configuration to be provided. So it depends on which type of access point that you got. But the good thing of this lightweight access point, you can have a central help of wireless controller and switch. That's why we can see the nature of this lightweight access point. There's a ports available. Nowadays, most of access point we have something like that, like this, right? There's a ports to be connected to the switch. Am I right? But if you look at the look of it, physical look, it's still same thing like autonomous. It's just that the one that makes it different is the ports available here in order for us to connect to the switch. Any question? All right. No question? All right, so we proceed. Okay, next one is mesh access point. Right, for your information, this mesh access point is not another access point. No, actually, mesh access point is a combination of, yes, combination of lightweight access point. So when I said combination of lightweight access point, we can have more than one lightweight access point connecting together. Yeah, connecting together at one switch. So we have one switch. Let's say this one switch having 24 ports, right? So this switch can connect to maybe 8 different what we call it, lightweight access point, where these will build up the, yes, wireless mesh networks involving metropolitan area network, involving university campuses, involving accommodation, involving hostel, and etc. All right. So for this mesh access point, I must have at least 2 paths. If it's only one path, we call it as lightweight. All right. Why I said 2 paths? It means that we can have one switch connect with several number or at least 2 access points, where these access points will connect to different devices. So these are the example where we can apply this concept of mesh access point involving the lightweight access point. Yeah, not only in campus, not only in metropolitan area. We can have like in Putrajaya, in Cyberjaya area, right? In terms of public safety, transportation, and also in the theatre area. This is the example how we can implement the mesh access point. As I mentioned earlier, we can have one switch, and this switch can be different port can be connect with different lightweight access point, and even can be connect with we can have a wireless router as well. All right, and they are actually build up the concept of mesh access point. All right. So in this case, if more than one access point, that's what we call as mesh access point. Yeah. This is all we call as lightweight. They are connecting together to build up the mesh access point concept. Clear? Any question on the access point? So what do you think? The access point at your home. The access point at your home is what? I should call who? Let me just call someone. Location. What's the full name just now? Location, is it? What do you think? Location. Is it location? Sorry. Location. What do you think? The access point at your home. Using what? Do you have access point at your home? It's a combinations to your wireless router, right? Okay. No answer? No. Okay, no. Or you don't have access point. But you are using what? Unify or what? You are using Unify, time.com or what? No idea. All right. How about the rest? Unify. Okay, Unify, it means that you have the hybrid. Yeah, 3-in-1. The switch, router, and access point. And if you look at your wireless router, actually there's a port, right? But then if you want to buy access point, anyone having access point independently? Anyone having mesh access point? You know, normally Unify, they have this one package for mesh access point. Am I right? Try to look at that access point. I think it's less than 50 ringgit. Yeah, Zeng Hong, if you look at the access point, right? The mesh one, right? It's less than 50 ringgit, right? The package, if I'm not mistaken, if you want to add extra mesh access point. When you look at it, is it, what do you think, the type of access point? Is it autonomous? Is it lightweight? Times hybrid. Okay, Abir, you are using times hybrid. So you are having access point. What do you think? I want you to look at the access point you have at your home, all right? And updates me. Yeah, updates me in next class. Okay. So please discover. Or you try to see what are the available access point in the market and update me. You know why? I don't want it's too late for you to realize. Because sometimes when we do assignments, then students start to come back and come to me, Miss, I cannot find them, Miss. autonomous access point. I cannot find the lightweight access point in the market. What is it you're teaching us? Nothing to do with the one in industry. Of course lah, yeah, right? Because the one that we taught you is the theory, the concept, the first one that being introduced. And how is it, yeah, the markets and the industry nowadays had modified it for commercial reason. Am I right? But remember, you must back to basic. Yeah, whatever creation, invention available out there, back to the basic. Is it full on autonomous? Is it more on lightweight? If it's more on lightweight, you know what are the features behind. If it's on the autonomous, means you need to understand the concept that it need to be configured manually, all right? And it's not having a centralized capability. Clear? Okay. All right, so proceed. Right, next one, we're going to see wireless router. So for wireless router, class, this is the example, and normally why I mention it as hotspot router here, because everyone, yeah, we hardly to call this as wireless router, right? We always call it as hotspot. That's the common or popular name, but it's actually related to this. All right, you can see, yeah. But not every house we connect this wireless router with access point, am I right? Sometimes it's together, hybrid one. That's why this one depends on what kind of infrastructure that you have. Like one of your classmates just now is using mesh. That one for sure, additional. And that's the reason why actually Unify people, if you want to go for mesh services, you need to pay extra because they have additional devices to be connected to your wireless router. All right, and if you look at the definitions of this wireless LAN router, not much difference with our definition of router that we learned. It's just the matter of wireless versus wired. And there are also other names like wireless broadband router, and there are also other names like wireless residential gateway. All right, but then in our community, wireless broadband router is a common term. But when it comes to you want to go for wireless, certification, yeah, then they have another term called wireless residential gateways. It's actually same thing. It's just a matter of terms, right? And that's why be careful when we talk about networks. When you go to Lot Yard, Jalan Lot Yard, when you go to what we call it, when you go to Lot Yard Plaza, when you go to any IT shop or business premises and etc., they may confuse you with whatever terms that they have. Sometimes the name, I never heard this name. But then when we look at the box, we look at the feature, this one is access point. Why you come up with a very complicated name? Why? It's because of commercialization, right? They want to come up with a bombastic name so that they can promote their product. Not only promote their product, of course, for sales purposes. So that's another reason why, class, whatever you learn theoretically during your degree level, please relate. And to be honest, how many years already? When they talk about IoT, blockchain, whatever, a lot of terms, cryptocurrency, and then they talk about fintech. But then when you really go for their courses, it's all about database, network, all right? Even IoT, I'm telling you truth, it's all about network as well. Yeah, it's all about network as well. So that's the reason why if your basic on network is not so strong, all right, of course you hardly to be specialized on certain stuff like IoT, artificial intelligence. You got what I mean? Even artificial intelligence, your skills in database need to be strong as well. All right? Okay, because it's involved data mining, etc. Okay, so back to here. In the enterprise environment, wireless router may have similar functionality. Yes, right? It's the same like what we have at our home, but of course with extended features, and the expectation of that extended features, of course, for VPN and also for security purposes. What mean by VPN? Of course, VPN means the capability to tunnel the encryption process. Am I right? Alright, virtual private network is all about tunneling the encryption process from public network to the private network. Alright, so it's more on that when it comes to enterprise. Alright, but when it comes to a home environment, it's all taken care by the provider. That's why not so much to be configured on our side if it at home, right? Okay, these are example how the wireless LAN routers look like. This one is the Netgear brand. Okay, and then SOHO or home broadband routers also, you may realize that they are already equipped with several ports in order for you to connect to the switch, in order for you to connect to the access point, right? Same goes to the organization. All right, enterprise. Okay, and then you have to understand as well when it comes to home usage and enterprise usage, more on the difference are more on the configuration. Of course, you cannot have a complicated configuration for home usage, but for enterprise, the configuration will be complicated. All right, and even if in organization, we hardly using wireless, am I right? We hardly using wireless router. Normally we use the one that with wired connection. One with wired connection. And if some organizations still use it, means they need to really take care on the security setting. Because the nature of wireless connection compared to wired connection, wireless is not as tough, it's not as secured as wired. All right, and of course when it comes to wireless residential gateway type of router, is more on connecting your home network to the provider ISP. All right, this is the concept of wireless residential gateway, right? And nowadays, even this modem, some of the devices is integrated together with the wireless router as well. It can be hybrid 5-in-1, All right, and this is another example, wireless VPN router. Normally, if you want to use for enterprise, you want to use for organization, we're not using this wireless residential gateway, but we are more on using a wireless VPN router. All right, and if you look at the available port to be connected to the local area network Ethernet, all right, 3 ports means you can have 3 different subnets if you want. Am I right? Remember subnet? How to count subnet? You need to refer to the router interface. So same thing here. Okay, and of course, when those subnets connecting to this wireless VPN router means it having a capability to be connected to another remote network through wireless connection, right? Through wireless connection. No need for me to explain so much on VPN capability because I'm pretty sure you already understand what is VPN. So this is how this brand is Colibris wireless VPN router. Okay, so you can see there's a port there to be connected to the Ethernet, to the local area network. And I know some of you might confuse, Miss, it looks the same like access point. Yes, it's almost the same, the looks. But that's the reason why I want you to look at the box. I want you to look at the back of the devices where the identity of that particular devices will be shared. Am I right? If you look at your naked eyes, to be honest, you hardly to differentiate. Unless if you look from here and look at the back, then you can identify, oh, this is wireless VPN router, for example. So same thing for your assignment, class, in future. Next week, I'm going to share the assignment. So some of you might ask me, Miss, I don't know lah, this one access point, switch, router, I don't know. That's why you need to see the details, read and research. You don't ask me, even if you ask me, I need to look at it. You need to share with me. Maybe you can share opinion. Miss, I think this one based on my information. Okay, discuss that way, no problem. But if you ask me to guess or you ask me to decide for you, please don't do that. Right? Okay. Any question for meantime? Any question for meantime? Okay, no, all right, so we proceed. Next one. Wireless bridges. Right, as I mentioned earlier, since the access point already having a capability of bridges functionality and also capability of repeater functionality, that's why this kind of devices we hardly to use. We hardly to use. But yes, they are. They are devices called wireless bridges. And normally, why we want to use this bridge instead of we want to use a switch, we use a bridge because it's actually connecting two different, two different LAN together. And another thing about using this bridge, compact, some of you might say, Miss, why we want to use bridge? Use a switch, correct. But then for those who want to go for cheaper solution, fast installation, because you already understand the nature of the switch having different requirement, right? So it depends. If you want to have this bridge for cheaper solution, for fast installation, all right, and you can set a different power level, yes, you can have this kind of devices as well, right? And of course, if you look at the nature usage nowadays, we go for wireless switch, or we use for switch, all right? So even if you look at the frequency, you can go for 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Same frequency like what we have in our Wi-Fi, in our access point, all right? Okay. So then this one also depends on the organization as well, depends on the organization. Some organization, they use this kind of devices because it's already in place. It's already in place, they just use it. And of course, another reason, because the provider is actually providing it to them, so they just use it. Okay. Next one, wireless repeater. Same concept with wireless bridges. We hardly to use it. But then there's another term available in the market nowadays. They call it wireless extender. They call it wireless booster, right? So when you research, it's actually having a repeater capability as well. And that's the reason why even our access point having a wireless having a repeater capability, and that's also the reason why this one hardly to be used on its own. Okay, on its own. And also another reason why we are not using it on its own, because the functions of this wireless repeater is just to repeat. Or what means by repeat? To strengthen the signal, to strengthen the weakened signal of the radio frequency that travel within certain place to another certain from one point to another point. All right. Okay. And of course, how many wireless repeater need to be used, way to be used, that one depend on the nature of your environment. If without wireless repeater, okay, you still can have an excellent coverage of connection, right? Then no need to use it. Normally we use it for common places that actually exposed with what we call it, with interruptions. For example, maybe you're near to the construction area. Your house actually full of pillars, pillars, too many hidden places. Then you need to use this kind of devices. Okay, this is the thing. So before the this wireless, before the signal to be transmitted to this wireless client, there's a viability of repeater way. It will strengthen the frequency, yeah, the signal, the radio wave that travel from here to here. That's why they have repeater. Maybe they have one pillar here, they have one maybe hidden area. That's why they use this repeater. Right, any questions before we move on to the last one? Okay, so I proceed with the last one, yeah. All right, wireless LAN controller or switch. Same thing. You want to call it as wireless controller, you want to call it wireless switch, is same thing. These are the one that we use a lot nowadays. Am I right? We use a lot. But then you might not realize it because it's together with your wireless router. 3-in-1. Okay, but then what's the difference, Miss? The difference is something like the functionality only for switch is available on this device. Okay, so the one at your home, I don't consider it as a wireless switches because it's still having an access point, it's still having a router capability. Same thing when you talk about Cisco switch, same thing when you talk about Cisco router, right? Cisco switch, you cannot do the subnetting, am I right? Cisco switch, you do more on what? VLAN, right? VLAN configuration. But router, you do more on what kind of configuration? Network address translation. Need to be there, am I right? In switch, no need to have net, no problem. Right? If you are using IP version 4. Right? If IP version 6, no need. If fully, but no such thing of fully IP version 6, right? Still, we have both. Okay? So that's the reason why if we have the wireless switch in place, means there's a capability for us to configure it for VLAN purposes. VLAN means for more security concept to be implemented within different virtual interface with the same local area network. All right, and of course, the lightweight access point is the one to be used to be connected to this kind of wireless switch devices. Just now we already see the capability of access point, right? Now we look at the capability of wireless switch. We have virtual LAN. Just now in access point we don't have virtual LAN. We have power over Ethernet. Just now we don't have this, right? We have improved roaming. We have this one, radius services. This one is radius, is the security data, is the for security reason. Right? So different, compared to the access point just now, right? See, more on quality of service, IPA, so you can have more features, more security kind of control to be provided, to this kind of devices compared to the access point just now. All right? Okay, I don't want to talk about IPS, I don't want to talk about layer 2, layer 3, access point. This one, why? Because you already learned. You already learned. We just need to apply it, right? Please ask if you're not sure. This one, radio frequency spectrum management, it depends on different frequency, different type of medium to be connected, right? Like microwave, different spectrum, even X-ray also different spectrum. So now it more on manage on to accept only 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, for example. This is the example. Someone asked me, how is it the wireless switch looks like? See, it's like this. All right, it's just like a switch. Right, we have a built-in antenna, and of course this one you need to be connected to the access point for the antenna purposes, right? So some of you might ask, Miss, why no antenna? Because this one you need to connect to the access point. All right, then it will have the wireless capability. All right, okay, but it's specially for wireless environment. If wired, different. Okay, about it. All right, so basically I just want you to understand all these devices. Please research. Please research in the market. You can research in the website, no problem. I don't expect you to go out there to go look. Yeah, no. Try to see as many commercial product available out there and try to confuse yourself. Why I said try to confuse yourself? Because you ask yourself, you look at the picture, you look at the product, you look at the box, or you look at the brochure, the details, and think, what is this? What is this? Is it wireless router? Is it wireless switch? Is it access point? Is it repeater? I want you to have this kind of experience. This one reserved for your independent study this week. Why? When you have this kind of knowledge, when you research about this, so next week when we start doing our assignment, you can apply the knowledge in your assignment. I don't want later on, by the moment you start to do your assignment, that's the moment you want to get to know, oh, this is access port, oh, this is switch, wireless switch, all right? But then, of course, let me know, okay? Approach me in Microsoft Teams personal chat. Miss, I found out this product from this site. I'm using it. I just want to know, what is this actually? Is it a wireless router or is it a wireless repeater? I'm confused so much. When I look at this, it seems like it's like wireless router, but then when I look at certain information, giving me different information. All right? Okay. So it's more on get to know the devices available. Or maybe class, what you can do, you just Google wireless infrastructure devices, and don't be surprised, there are many terms have been commercialized. There are many terms being marketable out there, you know, they have promoted, right? And then you may think that, hey, this is new thing, I never heard about it, all right? But please don't believe it yet. You need to look at the details and figure out, is it totally new things or is actually just an access point, for example. Okay. Sorry. Any questions? All right. So next week, all right, we have chapter 3. I will start our lecture next week with an activity, yeah, maybe using quizzes, all right. But see first next week on Wednesday. Then we have another chapter called radio frequency fundamentals for wireless LAN. All right. And during our tutorial time next week, I will start to introduce the assignment question. All right. So next week during lecture time, we will have chapter number 3 about radio frequency fundamentals, which is the core chapters, or the most important chapter for your assignment. All right. Okay. If no question, let me just proceed with our attendance. Okay. Hold on. Let me just go to our attendance first. But if you got a question, please ask, or you just can approach me personally in Microsoft Teams personal chat. No problem, yeah? Or if you feel that your question will be useful for all of you, then you can ask in the meeting chat, no problem. Okay, tutorial. Okay, let me share the link. Sorry, the QR code. Right, class, as usual, at the moment you take your attendance, yeah, and if you feel that you do not have any questions to ask, and yeah, please don't forget your independence task this week to research as many as wireless devices that you can, so that you can apply it into your assignment. All right. Okay, so if you don't have questions, you may leave, no problem. Thank you very much. Yeah, have a good weekend. Take care and see you again next week during our lecture time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Miss. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Miss.
Welcome.
Excuse me, Miss.
Yes, who is it?
This is Ye
Oh,
Jinjiang.
Jinjia.
Could you
Yes.
please help me make the
Okay.
attendance? I have some problem with the AP space.
Okay, sure, sure. Jinjiang, huh? All right. Thank you.
Hi, Miss.
Yes.
Is it
Who
assignment
is
or
that?
I'm
Lauren.
Jin Yong here.
Okay, Jin Yong, yes.
Is it assignment or individual?
Yeah. As I mentioned in week number 1, test you do on your own, final exam on your own, even assignment also individual, right?
All right, Miss. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Miss.
Yes, Kevin.
Hello, Miss.
Yes, Suze, right? Suze.
Susan. Can I ask you some question privately? It's about my internet connection at my home.
Okay, wait. I stop the recording session first. Yeah.